And just a few more breaths here, softening the jaw, dropping the shoulders. Gentle breath in and gentle breath out. And if you can begin to imagine the ground underneath you, right? You can feel your whatever you're sitting on, or maybe your feet, whatever's touching the earth. And everything that we do today, having that sense of, I would call it yieldedness, this idea of going down to go up. So to stand, you would push through the feet to lift up through the spine to stand, or right, any sort of upward trajectory of the spine. There is also this downward movement with the body. So the body is constantly moving, right, in these two directions, also in sort of a twisting motion as it moves. Your body is this dynamic, amazing structure in which it is constantly supporting you throughout the day. So, really just focusing on how you move from the ground up today and really feeling connected to the feet. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. I feel like not everyone might have, I'm recording this, not everyone might have a block or a ball. So we're gonna massage our feet. You were saying you felt a little tension through the heels. And so I'm going to go ahead and pin myself. So, yeah, perfect. So if you just joined us, I'm glad you're here. We're just taking a gentle massage of the feet, the heels, the sole of the foot, and just kind of noticing. And if you're curious, how this makes a difference in the fascia. You could stand up, touch your toes, and then sit back down and massage the feet. And then notice when you touch your toes again that you're probably a little closer to the floor. Right. And so a little bit of that sort of just gentle palpitation of the feet, right foot, left foot. I notice my feet are nice and cold this morning. So just that gentle massage through the feet. All right. And if you just joined us, we're recording this, and I do send it out for those that want it or want to look at the past recordings. So you're welcome to put your email address in the chat box if you want the recording later. All right, so kind of wrapping up in just that gentle massage of the feet. Perfect. All right, and we're going to come to a stand. So let's move my screen back a little bit further. So coming to a stand, whether you have a yoga mat or not, it really doesn't matter. If you have a wall or blocks or anything else nearby that you want to utilize for balance today, you're welcome to make sure that's handy. We'll come toward the front of your mat with your feet slightly apart and your back of your knees slightly soft. Inhale, roll the shoulders up toward the ears, and exhale, let them fall back down. Do that again. Inhale, roll the shoulders toward the ears, and exhale and release. One more time, breathing in and breathing out, release. Good. Inhale, we'll stretch the arms all the way up, or as much as it feels comfortable for your shoulders. So if you have a range of motion considerations, you can always bend the elbows or reduce your range of motion. Now go ahead and look up and imagine that you're grabbing something on the ceiling, and see if you can push through your feet to stand just a little bit taller. And then on your exhale, we're going to bend your elbows and your knees at the same time and fold halfway forward. I'm going to place my hands on top of my thighs and move my buttocks backwards. So it's a half forward bend. So if you experience high blood pressure or even low blood pressure, or any dizziness when you fold all the way forward, you'll want to stop at the half fold. Otherwise, you can continue forward into a forward bend, tip some weight toward the balls of your feet, and let your head bob down so the back of your neck gently checks in toward the chest. and begin to bend one knee and bend the other. So I'm just a little sway right and left. And you might notice when you do that, right, there's an emphasis on that hamstring of the straight leg and pushing down evenly through the ball and the heel of the foot. You can have your knees really bent if the hamstrings are restricting your movement, and the legs straighter if you have more range of motion. One or two more sways side to side. We're going to drag the hands back up toward the knees for a half forward fold again, and then exhale and fold all the way down. Do that one more time. Inhale, half forward fold, pushing through the feet, lengthening the spine, and then fold all the way down. We'll walk the hands to the floor, bend your knees until you can touch the floor and come into all fours. Go ahead, and from here, we'll round the back like a cat and really push through the hands and the feet. And then look forward and arch the back. And you'll do that again, round the back, push through the hands and feet, and then arch the back. So the idea here is to try to get some flexion and extension of the spine, getting some range of motion through the spinal column, and just really noticing what your mobility is there by using the hands and the feet. Now, this next time you come to neutral, walk your right hand further forward. So it's a whole hand space forward, and then do the cat and cow again. So round your back. You might notice a little more stretch through the shoulder, and then arch the back, pull the heart forward, and then round the back again. And then arch, pressing down with the tops of your feet. Switch your hands. Your opposite hand steps forward and your other hand comes back. Round the back again. So feel that stretch. You're going to really push through the hand that's under your shoulder and reach with the other hand, and then arch the back. And one more time, round the back, and then arch. You're going to keep the left hand forward and thread the right arm all the way through. I'll turn to the side so you can see me. And I'm just taking it and putting my head on the floor and stretching that arm forward and side. So as I stretch that arm forward and side, getting that little bit of a shoulder stretch and an upper body twist, so that thoracic spine is having to move around. Take another full breath there. Put the hand back near the shoulder. Push all the way up, and you're going to switch sides. You'll step the other hand underneath and thread it through. Now you can take any step along the way. If that feels like too much, you can be on the elbow. You don't have to be lowering all the way to the floor. Take the other hand and reach it forward, really pressing that extended armpit down to feel that enhanced stretch across the back. Take another breath. And then on your exhale, walk the hand back toward your shoulder and push all the way up. From here, we're going to keep the knees and the hips in alignment and walk the hands forward for a little bit more of a shoulder stretch, but push like crazy through the floor so that you're not collapsing in the upper body. You want to keep the belly lifting up. In fact, a little bit of a pelvic tilt toward the nose will help you do that. Stretch your fingers forward, take another full breath, and a complete breath out. Walk the hands back closer underneath the shoulders, if not just slightly forward. Curl the toes under and sit back toward child's pose or balasana. So if this is too much for the feet, then you can take the tops of the feet down, or you can sit a little bit forward on the forearms. So you get to decide where you take this stretch. If it makes sense for you to move into a downward facing dog, you can do that, or you can simply skip them today. You can either do child's pose or all fours. But if a downward facing dog is in your practice, then lifting the hips high, stretching the heels back, pushing back through the arms. Take another full breath here and a complete breath out. We're going to bend the knees and walk forward all the way toward the hands. Fold over the tops of the legs or take a half forward fold. Bend the knees a lot and lift the body and the heart all the way up, stretching the arms up. See if you can keep stretching up. You can lift your shoulders up. Do you see how I lift those shoulders to get a side body stretch? On my exhale, I'm going to bend my knees and either come to a half fold or a full forward fold. So this is called a sun salutation. It would be sun salutation A. You'll bend the knees a lot, place the hands on the ground, come back into all fours, child's pose, or you could take a downward facing dog. Take an extra sip of breath here. The knees will come down to the earth. Bend your elbows and slide to your belly. Once you're on your belly, press the tops of the feet down and the pelvis down to the floor, so you're squeezing the glutes. Roll the shoulder blades back, elbows move back, lift up through the heart, and let go of the floor. As you keep lifting, there's a pressure through the belly to push down that will lift you up. Take another breath here in this cobra pose with the hands off the floor, and then lower the nose down, push through the hands, and lift the hips as soon as you can to reach back, and we'll sit into child's pose. Stretch your arms as far forward as they'll go. Take an extra sip of air here. And then from here, you can stay in child's pose, or you can move toward downward facing dog, curling the toes under, downward dog. We're going to move back into a forward bend, so bend the knees, walk the feet forward, forward bend, exhale. Bend the knees a lot, let the arms fly up, stretch all the way up, exhale, and just gently lower the arms down. Good. Check in with the body. So how are you noticing, right? What are you noticing happening now? Do the shoulders feel alive and tingly? Can you feel that sort of lift from the ground up? So we're not just standing and sinking, but we're standing and lifting. So there's this like gentle levity in the body. And so when we practice, right, yoga in this sort of spirit of this 8-limbed practice is what it's called, we're thinking about how we can do things in a way that doesn't harm our body. So if we're pushing into pain, we want to back off just enough to where we're not doing that, where we just feel enough sensation to feel challenge, but not moving into pain. So inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Exhale, we'll bend the knees and fold all the way forward. Take a gentle half lift, which means I'm going to drag my hands up my shins toward the knees, and then I'll fold forward again, noticing what my range of motion is in my hamstrings. My hands melt down to the floor. I'm going to step back either all fours, child's pose, or downward facing dog. Push through the arms to reach through the heels, relax through the back of the neck. We're going to add a warrior one to this sun salutation. So bend your knees, step your right leg forward, or I'm going to show you another path, which is knees down, hands to knees, step the right leg forward, shift your weight, lift your back knee, and spin your back heel down. So I'm mirroring you right now. Inhale, we'll take the arms either up or forward. See if you can connect the back heel by pressing it down and pressing the ball of the front foot. So there's this like dynamic action of the legs moving apart. As I push that back foot down, I'm continuing to bend the front knee so that I'm feeling the strength at my quadricep and my hamstring. The arms can be forward, the arms can be straight up. Notice if you can feel sort of that lifting of the belly, that pressure away with the feet, and find what parts of your body connect well and which part maybe are a little disconnected. So just noticing. One more breath here. Then we'll take the hands back down to the earth, either child's pose or downward facing dog as you step back. We'll let the knees come down to the earth, come all the way to the belly. Take a cobra pose by pushing the tops of the feet, the pelvis, roll the shoulders, and lift up through the heart. Take an extra breath here. And then lower the nose all the way down. As soon as you push up, move the hips back, either child's pose or downward dog. I'm going to take child's pose. This time we're going to step the opposite leg forward. So if you stepped your right foot forward, you'll step your left foot forward. I'll show you another way to go. You can either go from downward dog and step that leg forward, or you can come into kneeling, step the opposite leg forward, lift your back knee, and spin your back heel out. Inhale, stretching the arms either all the way up or forward. So just make sure you're doing the opposite side. Continue to bend through the front leg and push through the back heel. So when I press through the back heel, it turns on the glute. And there's this sense of lifting up through the back thigh. And instead of letting the ribs collapse, I really want to move them into the body. Take an extra sip of air here. And then float the hands gently all the way down. Lift the back heel, either bring the back knee down or step back, downward dog, or child's pose. You get to decide. One more breath here. We're going to come forward into a forward bend. So you'll either walk the hands forward or come to kneeling, step forward, and come into a forward bend. Shake the head gently no or nod the head yes. Let the arms really loosen and soften from the shoulders. Tip the weight toward the balls of your feet. Bend your knees and we'll move into chair pose or Utkatasana. So now we're moving into Sun Salutation B, which we just did, which added Warrior One and the chair pose. Sit just a little bit deeper. So you want a little more fire in the thighs, a little lower you go, a little bit easier, stand taller. But as you do this, you can see sort of the zigzag in the body. The glutes go back rather than the pelvis forward. So there's this sense of moving back. And then on your next exhale, fold the whole body forward. We'll bend the knees, hands down, either come to kneeling, child's pose, or downward dog. A full breath in, a complete breath out. We'll take the right leg forward into Warrior One, or come to kneeling, step the foot forward, and then come up. Inhale, stretch the arms up, tether the feet. So really working with grounding today. So I'm going to push through the ball of my feet and feel how that feeds to the back leg. The arms can be any trajectory. On your next exhale, the hands go down, the back heel lifts. You'll either go to downward dog or kneeling. Bend your knees, lower all the way down to the floor. Press with the tops of the feet, the pelvis, curl the body out, let go of the floor, soften through the back of the neck and jaw. Lower the hands again, push up and push back. Downward dog, kneeling, or child's pose. We'll take the other leg forward, so either I'm going to step it forward or I go down to kneeling and then step forward. Back heel spins down, Virabhadrasana 1. So Warrior One. Find that back foot anchors with the front leg. Really feeling that connection between the two, a full breath in and a complete breath out. The arms can be any direction. On your next exhale, the hands come back down, lift your back heel. We're going to come forward to forward bend, Uttanasana. Go through Utkatasana, bending the knees, sitting into chair pose. Again, depends on what your arms and shoulders have capacity for today. They could be up or through the center. And then just simply stand tall. Relax through the shoulders. Good. When we practice, we're looking for an overall practice of a sense of, right, feeling both strength and ease, challenge, non-challenge. And they call this sort of a sattvic quality. So if I'm feeling quite lethargic today, I want to boost up my energy and move a little bit quicker or do further limbs. If my energy is really up, then I want to be closer to the ground. So finding a way to make this practice really meet your needs so that it does have sort of that gentle sattvic quality to it. We're going to step with the right leg toward the back and move into a Virabhadrasana or warrior two. So when I step the back leg back, I'm going to lift the front lip of the hip and extend the arms out to the side. Looking out over my fingertips, there's this sense that I'm trying to, right, create a triangle with my scapula and arms. So when your arms are out to the side, can you feel the wingy bones in your back? See if you can move them in a little bit toward the spine as you stretch your fingers out. Now keep bending the front knee more and more and pushing the back heel. When you do that, you'll feel the front part of your hip just lift just a little bit. Good. And if this feels like too much, you could also be seated on a chair and have the same leg shape. It's definitely still challenging, so find a way to make this practice work for you. One more breath there. Then we're going to turn both toes to the center. So I know some of you are off your mat. That's okay. So the toes move forward and the heels are just slightly out. We're going to bend the knees a lot and slide the hands down the outer edges of the legs and fold forward. I can stop at any point. Here, the action is the heels moving out, out, out. So you can feel the hips separating and the balls of the feet are really pushing down. So that again, we're moving from the ground up today. Feel the heels move out, the balls of the feet move in, and the action of the pelvis or sacrum goes out. You're folded forward any amount, it doesn't matter. You could also have your hands on the couch or an ottoman or a chair. You could be doing this behind a chair, holding it. Take another full breath here. Now here, start to swivel one hip out to the side and bend one knee. Then swivel the other hip out to the side and bend the other knee. Now see if you can push off from the foot. So my knee that is bent, I'm going to push and I press back with the opposite foot. I push with that foot and I press. I push and press. Push and bend. Push and bend. So if I were skating, the action would be out, 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 right? So that you could propel forward. And just take one more side to side. So getting that stretch to the inner groin. Perfect. We're going to come through the center. Bend both knees and come all the way up. Turn the other toe out to the front and the back heel angles. Bend your front knee. And as you bend the front knee, you're coming into that warrior two on the other side. So the knee keeps bending forward, but I'm pushing back with my back heel. I'm also so anchored with this front heel, and that's going to help me lift the front edge of my hip. Otherwise, I would kind of tip forward or sink forward. But I want to use that foot to keep pushing up. And then I'm going to feel a co-contraction through the leg. The arms are just out to the side. Now here, can you feel, right, my arms aren't just floppy, but they're strongly projecting toward each wall. And my scapula feels like it's coming in and down into my back. So I want to feel or imagine it moving in toward the spine. It's a strong arm movement. Take another full breath there. If you don't feel the heel pushing, lift your toes a little. That's going to give you that sense of that strong co-contraction. One more breath. You got it. You can look anywhere in this pose. I know traditionally people look over their fingers, but if it isn't comfortable for your neck, you can look elsewhere. From here, you're going to straighten that leg, turn the toes forward again. Bend your knees and sit back into a little bit of a squat. So this time, our hands are going to stay on the top of our thighs, and you'll rock side to side. So this is the beginning of a pose called Skandasana, in which you go side to side. And Skandasana, the spine, if you can see my back, the spine is long rather than rounded. So I'm moving my pelvis back, the crown of my head forward. And eventually I just kind of lift the toes just a little. So when I rock side to side, I want to lift the opposite toes. And so the weight goes through the heel. And eventually, right, this could be more buoyant or it could be less. I could bend my knees all the way through, staying low. I could also move my hands forward for, again, less support, more into my legs. I could also walk the hands on the floor if you have that range of motion available to you. And that heel could lift, or the toes. Good, one more. Then we're going to turn our original direction, and the back heel is lifted. Here, the back knee will float down, and your forearms will go on top of the thigh. So it doesn't matter what direction you're facing, whatever works for you. We'll do both sides. So here, I'm going to look down into my belly, which pulls my rib cage back. I want to take my knee and feel like I'm trying to drag forward. But I also want to push down with my front foot so I don't sink. I've got to push. And then slowly, I'm going to take my open side arm and slowly lift it up, up, up. Good. Now, as I lift it up, I'm going to keep raising that so I get the stretch to the side body. And you have the option to lift the back heel and move it towards you, or keep it on the floor. You can also keep circling the hand around and move the back heel, either taking a hold of it or imagining it. I don't have to actually hold it. That could be just enough. It could also be just enough to reach the hand back. On your next exhale, the hand comes down and the other hand will swing that leg back and sit back into child's pose. A little wiggle of the hips. Can you feel that stretch through the low back? Another full breath here and a complete breath out. We're going to come up to kneeling and step the other leg forward. I'll turn forward so you get a different view. So I'll step the opposite leg forward and my forearm will come down. Here I'm anchoring through the front foot. Front knee is bending forward and that heel pressing down. And I'm on the front half of the knee so that I'm imagining I'm scooting forward. I think I'm picturing like John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever. I might be totally dating myself where he does that sort of like move across the floor. Same thing. So your heel is pressing, pelvis is coming forward, and you can take that arm and reach it all the way up. And as you reach it up, see if you can really feel that side stretch. So I want to push down to lift. My ribs are moving back. I could add the back knee bend, bringing the heel toward the buttock. I could circle that arm all the way around and reach toward the heel. Could hold it if I can reach it, or I could just imagine it. It doesn't matter. One more breath here. And then on your exhale, release, hands come down, and the foot comes back. Sit back into child's pose once again. Ooh, and feel that little stretch all the way through the lower lumbar. If you want to feel more in the lower lumbar, curl the pelvis slightly forward. Feel the breath blossoming and blooming. So in other words, fill the belly and then exhale, let it go. Do that again, fill the belly and then let it go. Okay, nice. We're going to take and walk the hands back. We're going to take a different type of twist here. I'm going to open my knees a little bit wider, and I'll take one elbow on the inner thigh of one side and the forearm down to the floor. I'm going to roll the opposite shoulder back till I touch my shoulder and then open up to the side. So I'm bracing and pushing, and then extend that arm up toward the ceiling. Keep letting the opposite hip drop as you feel that stretch. Good. One more breath. And then lower it down, other direction. So I'm just going to adjust my feet. There we are. And then my forearm comes down, my elbow wedges into the inner side, and I'm going to stretch that opposite arm up. As it stretches up, I want to push down to lift and twist. Ideally, I'm moving more from my thoracic. So remember when we talked about where the shoulder blade can connect to the spine? That's your T12, your thoracic part of your spine. I want to push down to lift and twist. And then unfold that all the way. We're going to unwind that, shift the hips off to one side, and stretch the legs forward. So flex the toes and push down with your heels. You might rock the sits bones a little bit side to side. We'll scoop up one knee and bend that knee. We'll take the hand to the outer edge and reach one arm forward. So I'm crossing the body like I were going to give myself a hug. And then the arm that's going forward is on the bent leg side. I'm going to inhale, push down with the bent leg and the flexed foot to give myself more lift as I revolve all the way around. I've got a big prop behind me, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I'm going to put my hand on it and just use it to revolve. But you can use whatever is handy for you. You can have your hand on the floor. It doesn't matter. Now here, look into the belly. I'm going to round my back a little and look into the belly. And then curl up and open up that chest and armpit just a little more. Take an extra breath here. Circle that arm all the way up and around. We'll take Janu Shirshasana, which is head to knee pose. So I'm going to bend, keep this knee bent, and that foot slides into the inner thigh. Here I'm going to push down with that foot. So you might even see my knee lift a little bit. That's okay. It means I'm using the muscles right around the hip joint. I'm going to walk my hands forward, and I might just stay right here. Like that could be enough. So otherwise, you could keep walking as if you were crawling forward from the back body, not from the front body. When we lead with the front body, you actually limit some of your breath. So imagine that you're leading with the back of your body, and the back was what's helping you fold forward. Can your breath be nice and fluid and buoyant, and also just really porous through the whole body. So there's almost this sort of sponda-like, this like expansion, contraction, this movement with the breath. And again, the back of my neck is moving forward like a tea kettle would pour, rather than a tea kettle wouldn't tilt up to pour. It would go down. One more breath there. Then I'll walk my hands all the way back up, see if I can release my leg without touching, and then just rock the sits bones side to side. Notice, right, how that leg feels. I could feel a nice rush of blood down the leg and a little bit of a tingle, which felt really nice. I'm going to swoop up the opposite side. So I'm going to bring that knee joint close to the chest, and it can be anywhere. So wherever it makes sense for you. I'm going to wrap that opposite arm like I'm hugging myself, and then my other arm will come forward. On your in-breath, push down with that foot and the other heel to circle into a twist. Right? So much of our day, we do torsion when we walk, but we don't often intentionally revolve the spine. You might when I had little kids, we would do what I would call like the sippy cup pass, and we would move, things into the back seat for the kids. And maybe you do that now with passengers, right? But otherwise, there's so little rotation that we do. So as you rotate, go ahead and look down into the belly, and then lift up through the chest and keep turning. If you let your eyes go where your body wants to go, you might find that you turn a little further as well. but without forcing. So whatever you can do to utilize the breath here more than anything else. And then on your next inhale, pushing down through the feet to circle that arm all the way up and around, and then opening up that knee to moving into head to knee pose. My heel presses down, my foot comes to the inner groin, and I'm just going to walk the hands slightly forward. Again, it's as if I'm moving from the back of my body rather than leading with my chin or my chest. So I really want to feel the back of my body, which means I'm going to flip my tailbone toward the wall behind me and just gently walk forward. Good. It is so much fall here. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we've had this strangely wet fall. And everything sort of is hanging on, all the blooms and the leaves are turning, and it's just exquisite. I hope that it is, or you can find some nuggets of beauty wherever you are watching today. On your next breath, you're going to walk the hands back up, lift up through the heart and the chest, and we'll take one more forward fold. So really, again, focusing on the ground up. So I want to push down through my feet to feed my spine taller. And rather than pulling myself into the shape, I just want to ease myself there. So I can walk the hands further forward. If my arms are going to go long, that means I want a shoulder stretch. If my arms stay a little more bent and I push with my heels and turn my tailbone back, then I'm focused on hamstring. So ask yourself, what do you need? What do you want? And which I know is such a difficult question for caregivers. So often we don't even have any clue what we need. But the beginning of a practice, a movement practice, is just to start moving and then noticing how it feels. When you explore the body, what is the body experiencing? What are the things that feel tight or loose or congested or tension or open? Just by being curious about the body, that gives you the agency to change. Okay, so walk your hands back towards your hips, and you're going to scoop the hips a little bit forward. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. I've got a blanket handy, and if you don't have one, you might get one. You can take a blanket, a pillow, if you want a little bit of a head support, or something for Shavasana, which is relaxation. You can have all the blankets and props and pillows that you feel like you might want. But we're going to come all the way down onto our back and hug the knees into the chest. Take a little bit of a rock side to side or forward and back. So the movement feels generous and also like kind, right? You want to feel like you are offering something to yourself in such a way that your body receives it, rather than trying to ever force yourself into any kind of shape or pose the teacher suggests. So just so you know, we're going to take both legs straight up in the air, and it might look like this. It might look like a bent knee. Others of you might look like straight legs, but it doesn't matter. So just noticing, what is my capacity with my full back supported by the ground? So with my back fully supported, what is my range of motion in my hamstrings like? Then we're slowly going to separate the legs apart. Earlier we did Skandasana, that bending the knees side to side. So I'm pushing through my feet. Then I'm just going to bend one knee and straighten the other. So I'm just seesawing back and forth, exploring again without pushing the weight on the ground, but now the back is stationary as I explore what my range of motion is without load, meaning I'm not using the earth to bend and straighten the legs, but I'm using what range of motion I have in my hips. Go ahead and bend both knees, draw the knees closer to the armpits. You can either hug the back of the legs to get this stretch, which is a happy baby, Ananda Balasana, or I can hold the outer edge of my feet or the outer edge of my ankles. The ideal is to keep reaching the tailbone forward. Do you notice how that moves my knees away from my chest? and then a little bit of pressure through my hands to draw that back. So I have some dynamic action happening here. Take another full breath and a complete breath out. And then when you're ready, you can hug the knees into the chest again. We'll take just a gentle twist. So similarly to what we did on the other side, or when we were seated rather, you'll open one knee out to the side and then let the other leg fall. My arms go the opposite direction, and I'm getting that gentle twist. You could also extend the top leg if you want, or keep the leg bent. You can move the leg further away from the chest or closer to the chest, but you get to decide where you'd like it to go, and it will change the feeling or sensation in the body. Take another inhale and a complete exhale. To come out of this, I'm going to fan the top leg, so it's going to come all the way over. And do you see how my other leg's just following it? And that's going to make the movement a little more functional. And then I stretch the arms wide. Oh, I don't know if you noticed, but right side, left side, what kind of differences there are. My left side always seems to feel tighter than my right side. I feel a little more congested on the left side. I tend to be right side dominant. So you just get to play and explore, like, what does it really feel like? What do I notice in the body? And to unwind this, you'll start to bring the top leg up and then the bottom leg, and then put both feet on the floor. If there's any other shifts or movements or shapes that you want to make, you can do that now. Otherwise, you'll start moving in the direction of extending the legs out and coming into what we would call relaxation or shavasana. And this particular pose, shavasana, is one in which allows us to integrate all of the movement that we've done before. It's a very traditional posture for yoga, and it's one that I would say most people tend to avoid. Extra rest. So a lesson I learned a long time ago is really seemed to be celebrated, and sadly I think it still is celebrated, this glorification of being busy, right? Justifying, how busy we are in order to have comparative worth, and it's just not true. In fact, pockets of rest are going to give you more capacity to do all of the things that you need to do. And as you lie there, how can you be 10, 20% more comfortable? What can you do to provide more ease for yourself and your body? Maybe swallowing or sighing or even yawning. Or maybe the body still wants to gently move in some way. Give yourself the gift of exactly what you're sensing it needs, not what you think you should be doing. And I'll have some silence here while we rest. Gently breathing in and breathing out.
Oh, hello. I am so sorry I had to take a phone call, but I put my email in for the recording because I love yoga and haven't done it in so long. This is going to